people receive a free gift bag with their sample cup. Beer starts flowing at 2 p.m. You must have a valid photo ID, no exceptions. Vendors, booths, food trucks, live music, and all of this in the heart of beautiful downtown Sanford. All presented by attorney Mo DeWitt at justcallmo.com. It's the 2025 Tom and Dan Bad at Business Beer Fest, November 22nd. Everyone will be there, unless they die. Please don't die. Suds is back. Sunday, November 23rd. Historic downtown Sanford. Races start at 2 p.m. And from 2 to 5, fearless teams roll their sofas down Palmetto and 2nd for Sanford's most legendary event. Powered by Just Call Mo, Modern Plumbing Industries, and Surfside Iced Teas and Lemonades. Keeping the good times flowing. Ice-cold beer, wild rides, and the kind of fun you'll only find at Sofa and Suds. Stop lying on your couch and get to downtown Sanford November 23rd. Sign up and VIP tickets at westendvenue.com.
Sofas and Suds!
We're back. Grave Rave Dave is my name. Grave Rave Dave.
How now, brown cow?
Manageable vegetable. Manageable vegetable. All right. That's all done. Let me make sure. Let me center you up here. You know what I've learned through these cameras? That everybody is a different size person. And it helps to make the camera fit their body. There we go. You look good. Perfect.
What can I not do to this mic?
What do you need to do with it?
Well, I just don't. Is it?
You can move it any way you want.
You can lift it
I
all
hate
the
that
way
thing
up.
so much. If you want to take it with you and smack and like throw it in a dumpster, you can.
Yeah, if you lift it up and then
Go way high.
Okay.
Tom's got you.
And then we'll tighten it.
Okay.
Hold on.
Kenny just
It
did
may-
it. Kenny ruined it.
May not ti- all
Okay,
right,
that's fine.
There you go.
We'll
And then just move that
Yeah,
around.
okay,
There
we
you go.
good.
No, that looks good.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. All right. Can you hear yourself okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Van. This is Wednesday.
Yeah.
There we go. I can start. Here we go. In 3, 2. It is another A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom. We've got our Bad at Business Beer Fest coming up November 22nd, and then the Sofa and Suds Sanford Couch Races on the 23rd. Both free events. Come out. The Beer Fest, we got live music, got a DJ, tons of food trucks, tons of vendors out there.
The streets of Sanford are open. The beer is everywhere.
Yeah, a bunch of craft beers, local, really good breweries. We got THC seltzers,
Yeah.
which is a craze
I mean,
right now.
We've had home brewers in the past. You never know
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
going to show up there. All of your old favorites, like Tom said, your THC seltzers. If you need to slow down a little bit, we got you covered.
We're going to have new Tom and Dan merch. Eric Merchman's going to be out there
Nice.
selling vent T-shirts, some new Tom and Dan T-shirts, and it's going to be a good time. It's a
Yes,
street
sir.
party, so come I say get there around noon, get that free gift bag, then walk around Sanford. Beer starts pouring at 2.
What's in the gift bags this year, gift bag Gary?
Well, something from our sponsors, Just Call Mo.
Okay.
We've got Modern Plumbing. We've got
Plumbing,
Fairvilla Megastore.
dildos,
We've got Jeff's Bagel Run.
bagels,
We've got Power Spot Fireworks.
fireworks,
We've got My Eternal Vitality.
testosterone, problems in the bedroom, see Dr. Power.
And much more.
Yeah,
Anyway.
lots of stuff out there.
So let's do a weird job today.
To get you guys ready for the shock and horror that will be Bad Bunny taking over the halftime of the Super Bowl, because apparently everybody's just livid about it.
Not my halftime.
Yeah, nothing makes me.
We need an American citizen. That's what I say.
I love the people saying that we needed Kid Rock. I'm like, yeah, that's what we need.
I think he is an American citizen.
He is.
Lots of non-American citizens have performed.
Yeah,
before.
here's the thing about.
But it doesn't seem like it
Here's the thing about
because
Kid,
he don't speak English.
Kid Rock's got the skinniest ponytails of all the ponytails. His ponytails are too skinny, or his braids. To get you ready for
I want Bob Seger.
Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. I believe he took himself off the road. This is a true story. Bob Seger took himself off the road this year because, quote, it's too hot for him and his fans. So he took himself off the road.
Ozzy Osbourne's fat son.
He doesn't play. He doesn't play any music.
Oh, okay.
Jack Osbourne is a kind boy who
Okay.
suffers from some sort of disorder. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, getting you ready for Bad Bunny. I did something sort of in the style of what I think Bad Bunny would do if he got a hold of the Tom and Dan Weird Job Wednesday theme song.
Tom wanted to do a bit, he caught it. Weird Job Wednesday. Dad really likes it. Tom says that's bullshit. It's another
Watch your mouth, buddy.
Weird Job Wednesday. What are you doing? What is your job? Are you neat? Are you tidy? Are you a fat slob? Do you make lots of money and you sit up in your tower looking down on all the people who are working by the hour? It's a Weird Job Wednesday.
Can you see me with my straw hat on spinning to this? I love his straw hat. I watched him live from Puerto Rico. I enjoyed it.
Oh yes, it's Weird
Gracias.
you, Tom.
I should have changed that to gracias.
Thank you.
You know, to defend the internet,
Yeah.
it does not seem like Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Right, like at first
But
glance.
if you go to Miami, you feel like you are.
Well, no.
If you go to Miami, you look around, you're like, I could be in Puerto Rico right now.
Oh
right?
yeah, well yeah.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah, Miami doesn't feel like it's part of the United States, even more than Puerto Rico.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, so with us today, a fellow podcaster.
Yes.
Who
Who isn't at this point, right?
from the Who's the Baddie podcast?
Hey.
Tyler's here. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing great. What's up, guys? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
So speaking of Who's the Baddie,
He's the best looking baddie. Can I just say it?
Yes, I am.
You're the most
That's
attractive.
an
I've been
insult to
dying. I've been
Crespo
dying to get you on the couch.
and Matt.
Yeah, well, Crespo's doing as much as he can.
Yeah.
And Matt is just now, I'm just going to say it. And if this is shots fired, I apologize. But now he's just a broken dad.
Why would
He's
you
just
say
a
that?
tired dad all the time. Every time I talk to him, every text
No,
is like,
he's
oh,
fine.
I'm so tired. Oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah, we're
I'm
light
so
on.
tired.
We don't have a hair and makeup department, and I will say that I also don't have kids, so I think that goes a long way.
The kid will get you.
Yeah.
Write
we'll
that
get
down.
you.
Kids
Yeah,
will get
yeah,
you.
yeah.
They make you tired.
Yeah.
Especially if they're spicy and fast.
Oh, yeah.
My God.
Oh,
No
yeah.
wonder he's tired. He's running around crazy. He's got a little active baby running around.
So, speaking of Who's the Baddie, Daniel's episode is dropping tonight.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And your episode was on what now? Which movie?
The movie that we did is a movie that I hadn't revisited in a very long time, but
Yep.
it is the masterpiece,
Uh-huh.
The Mighty Ducks.
Masterpiece indeed.
Yeah, and I forgot how much I really enjoyed that movie. And also, to lean in for you guys to download the podcast, and I would urge that everybody like and subscribe Who's the Baddie podcast. That movie is so inappropriate, it's awesome. So go watch it, and
Yeah.
then listen to the podcast, and just have a lot of fun with us, because that is a darn fine movie.
You brought up the fact that little known fact that Jesse Smollett.
Jussie, it's Jussie.
Just whatever his name
Jussie
is.
Smollett is in that movie.
That's one of the many things that
Yeah.
will stand out and hit your brain like, holy crap, no way.
There's so many little things in that movie that, and we go, and trust me when I say, we walk through every little
yeah.
detail of that movie. Crespo lays some knowledge on you that will make you scream and
Oh, yeah.
delight. Some of that's already been revealed on social media. But if you haven't listened to Who's the Baddie, featuring me, their whole crew, and the movie The Mighty Ducks, please go like and subscribe.
You,
oh, God.
you know, it's another one real quick. Just sorry, this happens sometimes when I watch these movies to prep. Is that it'll autoplay the next movie, and Mighty Ducks 2 played right after the first one, and so I caught the first 10, 15 minutes of it. But Benny the Jet Rodriguez from The Sandlot is in that movie, and I had completely forgotten that too. So it's
They
like
brought
these
over
things,
some of the other famous sports
Yeah.
kids to play in other
when
famous
you
sports kids movies. Yeah.
revisit something after so many years, it's like, holy crap, it's not what you remember.
Yeah. Also, like,
Also, they were way too nice to Benny the Jet in the 50s for my tastes of accuracy. I'm like some parent of the other Sandlotters would have called Benny the Jet the S word.
Benicio.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
You
That's
know,
true.
it was the 1950s.
Yeah.
Call him Benny all you want. We know a
Well,
Benicio.
he
when
wouldn't
we
have been
see
playing,
one.
I'll tell you that. He wouldn't have been playing. He'd been locked up in the basement of one of those houses. or
Not in
something.
Iowa, anyway.
So Tyler,
Yes.
I actually do not know your job.
Yeah, sure.
I know that that our friend Matt from Who's the Baddie
The tired dad.
suggested that you come on today and talk about your weird job, and I was like, yeah, no problem. And then we scheduled it weeks ago, and now, literally 5 minutes before you came in, I text Matt. I'm like, what does Tyler do again? I have no idea.
Who the guy again?
There's a bit of the jet coming.
What is your job?
What is your job?
Yeah, I run into that a lot. I don't. It's unusual. I would say that it's weird too, but really more than anything, it's unusual. I am a clinical rater. If you Googled that, you might come up with a few different labels or titles for it. Sometimes I think that it's an older term now, but it once upon a time was called like a psychometrician or a psychometric rater.
A geriatric raider
Yep,
would be Pete Carroll.
I'll be that. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think that's a solid. I've been working on a Pete Carroll joke all week. I'm so old.
Cooking up Pete Carroll material.
trying to
All right,
cook
all
up my
right.
Pete Carroll.
Well, that'll be me at some point whenever a geriatric hits. But yeah. So I tell people I'm a clinical rater and that I work in clinical research, and I work very specifically on psychiatric trials. So I work on clinical drug trials, but I work exclusively on trials that are testing new and sometimes existing meds, drugs, or therapies for psychiatric diagnoses, things like ADHD, depression, bipolar disorder, things like that.
Okay, well, let's
Can you
rewind.
get my Adderall? I'm sorry, that wasn't me.
I
That was
need it
Tom.
real bad, Tyler. You don't understand.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
got fat. I can't think of
He's
nothing.
spilling out of his pockets right now. Look at the floor. There's dust. There's Adderall dust.
chop these up real quick. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong though, because like that ADHD meds tend to suffer from shortages, so it really does turn into that sometimes.
Because we abused them. That's why.
Yeah, because
Well-
the goddamn crackies got into the system, and they'll do
'Cause
anything.
it's like pain pill light to them.
And they love filling out all the necessary paperwork and all the stuff I
Yeah.
don't want to do.
Crackies are organized.
Yeah. Because they need it. They
Yeah,
need the
you gotta be
boys.
organized for crack.
So back to just the definition of
Yeah.
raider.
Mhm.
Why is it called a raider? I thought raider was a pirate.
Yeah, a raider. Yeah. This is raider, R-A-T-E-R. That's a great question.
Clinical
though.
buccaneer.
Yeah,
I
clinical
would prefer.
buccaneer, a swashbuckling clinical buccaneer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in just
The chat room wants to quote you on the "I got fat and I can't think nothing." Is that the accurate? That was the accurate quote. You're gonna put this on your tombstone when you die.
we got something for that. We
Yeah.
got something for that. Yeah, like bird's eye view, clinical drug trials or clinical research in general is just really the process or the series of processes by which new meds get developed, tested, proven to be effective, and then eventually released. So, often for a lot of things, if you are making a med for blood pressure or body weight or something like that, you can measure that very directly. You can measure blood pressure. You can measure body weight. You can measure all kinds of things that have tangible physical properties. Things like depression or ADHD symptoms or schizophrenia are not directly measurable. There's no physical properties to those things. So you have to come up with some way of measuring.
I've never thought of that. Yeah.
Has this med made a difference or not? Is there any difference in rates of responding or in, symptom profile? And so since those things are not innately measurable, you have to come up with ways of measuring them. So almost always is the case is that there is some assessment tool, some diagnostic tool that really just boils down to a bunch of different questions to help build an impression, build a profile of someone's disorder, someone's diagnosis. And then through repeated exposure to those questions, you ask those questions over time and see if things change or if they stay the same.
So you're like quantifying things that are unquantifiable.
Yes, that's exactly, if you get
Yeah.
into a psych class, they'll call it a hypothetical construct.
I like this.
You don't even really have to worry about the technical vocabulary. But
But if you don't build it out, then it doesn't exist.
True. I mean, there is some truth to that. It's one of those things like, listen, depression, anything that's not directly measurable, sadness, happiness, jealousy, you can't measure jealousy. You can't hold it in your hand. You can't point at it. That doesn't mean it's not
Travis
real.
Kelce can hold jealousy in his hand,
Yeah, he sure can.
according to the song Wood.
Yeah.
So you bring up a good point about being able to measure whether a crazy pill is working or not, right?
Uh-huh,
And I call
yes.
them crazy pills
Sure.
just because
Yeah.
it's
I'm on
disrespectful.
him. Yeah,
No, it's
he
all
likes
good.
He likes to do that. To
A healthy sense of humor is important.
That's the
Well-
same reason I call his Adderall I call him a fast gay. He takes his fast gay pills.
I
Makes
just,
him gay and fast.
I just like taking saying whatever the thing is treating in the pill, like fat pill, crazy pill,
yeah.
big pill, small pill,
yeah.
whatever. And so
Boner pill.
when you're
Yeah, weenie pill.
when someone's going crazy like a cartoon, like woo, bouncing, and then all of a sudden he's standing there after, you're like, okay, well, he was crazy, and then now he's just standing there, not crazy anymore, right? It's working.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. He still could be crazy.
Well,
and
is he
he's-
crying one tear? Then he's just frozen and
Yeah,
crazy.
maybe he's just
Help
acting
me.
normal, and he's still crazy up in his head. How can we know?
Yeah.
We can't
Somebody in
tell.
the chat room said our president called Ozempic, quote, the fat shot.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I like that. I do too. That's hilarious.
So, yeah.
I've always liked stores that are called just the thing that they do, like nails.
Yeah, or Dan's Fan City.
Yeah,
Yes,
Dan's Fan
yes.
City. Well, that's a little fancy for my taste. It could have just been Dan's Fans.
Or
but that's fine.
fans.
Is it an actual city of fans? I don't know about that. And who's the mayor of the
Yeah,
city?
it's kind of a.
And what kind of city is this? Is this a liberal city?
Yeah.
Do I need to put, do we need to put the National Guard
Also-
in there to control these fans?
store is not
Couldn't
even
hurt.
that big. It's like
Yeah, it's tiny. How many fans do you have in there? Burn it down.
You make a good point, though, because not everything that is not directly measurable is overt. Like you're talking about an excess of behavior bouncing off the walls. Now, that's visible. We don't need fancy questions to observe that and measure that. But the opposite, maybe things that are going on internally. I mean, how do you measure negative self-talk, or how do you measure feeling sad or bad or guilty or worthless? And that's all hidden. Like, that doesn't show itself. You can measure crying, and you can measure how a face looks to you, but that's not really measuring what you're trying to get. So there's, like you just said, there's two sides of it too. The things that happen inside the mind or inside the body are even another step away from being able to be captured.
Huh.
At least in a meaningful way.
So how do you start? So when you're starting one of these, what's the definitive starting, or is there a definitive starting point for something like this?
It really depends on the indication. We use the word indication. You can use the word diagnosis, whatever the condition is. It really depends on that. If you're talking to, I do a ton of ADHD work, a lot of ADHD studies. So with something like that, you just get into it. I always start my conversations, if I'm talking to a parent about a kid, tell me what brings you here. When did you first think of ADHD? When did that?
How long's he been not normal?
Right, yeah, things like that. Tell me what it's like. And then we start to go from there, and then you start introducing more formal assessment methods like actual, like standardized questionnaires. But to answer your question in a broader sense, how do you start? Well, you look at what it looks like when it's, in its natural form. What does ADHD look like? And so you build your questions around there. I see this person really can't sit still. And you notice that more and more in the ADHD population. Well, that must be a feature. So how do we probe for that? How do we ask about that? But we
Back
should
in the
ask.
old days, you duct tape them to the chair.
Exactly
That'll keep
right.
them still.
That's exactly right.
You stay there until you're,
Oh, yeah.
So
not got the demon in you.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, do you do any testing on humans? Is there clinical trials involved?
Do you cut any women's bras off like a EMT?
Like, how does that work with the clinical trials?
Yeah, so I work, that's another great question. So I work
Hold on, I got to give him the camera. When anybody says great question, he gets the camera
shit.
for a couple seconds, and then he has to smile, and yeah, I got it.
Yeah, no, it is, though. There are so many phases to clinical research, clinical drug trials. Most of them take place before a drug or a medicine or a chemical is ever put inside a body. The first time a med is put inside a human body, we call that phase 1, first in human trials. And phase 1 and 2 really are all about determining safety and tolerability of the med inside of a body. So can they take this? Is it safe? How much can they take? How long does it last in the body? How does the body process it and pass it through? I don't work in those two phases. They're extremely important, obviously. I work in phase 3, and phase 3 is, we call them efficacy trials, which means that you're now testing, does the medicine do what it's meant to do? Does it do what we want it to do, what we're saying it does? We've already demonstrated clinically that it's safe and tolerable. We can put it in a body. There may be side effects, and that's how side effects get discovered or learned about, of course. But we've determined it's safe for a body, so now we're putting it in, and let's see if it actually works at what it's meant to do. So if you're applying that to a schizophrenia subject or a depression subject, then what happens next is obviously different. But how do we get people into that point? Well, through recruitment, either through sharing information, or maybe even a treatment provider recommends, hey, there is some clinical drug trials happening in town or in this site somewhere. It might be worth your while to go explore that. And then from that point, it's even more complicated. Like, you have to go through eligibility. You have to determine eligibility. Is this a good fit for you? Is this trial a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for it? It can be there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through before you're in a trial. But it usually starts with someone seeing an ad, maybe on Facebook, maybe a billboard, maybe on the radio, and they think, oh, that sounds like me, or that sounds like my kid. Maybe I should call and just see what it's like. And that's how
I
it
did
starts.
this a few years ago for uterine mesh, and I was a good candidate.
Yeah.
I was an excellent candidate, but I had all of my lady parts removed.
Yeah. Where's the mesh?
You don't want to know where mine
don't
was? Mine got tangled.
How'd you get it in there?
Yeah, you
I
don't
know
want
where
to know.
it should be.
Yeah.
Where's mine?
Mine
Is it-
got, yeah.
Why are you putting mesh in there?
Get that mesh out of there.
So,
Stop mashing on my. Oh, you're mashing my mesh. Oh.
You mesh.
The meshy mesh. It's a mesh to mesh. You came to the dumbest show.
I love it. I love it
You're on the
so
dumbest
much.
show.
You know what?
That
I
is
was going to
so
mention
perfect.
It's
that.
October. I'm allowed to say meshy
Yeah,
mesh.
it's Monster Mash season. Monster Mesh.
I was gonna,
Blah.
not to totally tangent, but recently we got a review on our new Love Thy Neighbor
Oh,
show
what'd they
by a
say?
professional.
What'd they say about me?
No, what they said, oh, it's a hit. But they did say that it's like the two grown men on that show are like teen boys.
Yeah, I saw that. They're like the
I was
two
like,
men
wha-
on the show are like listening to two stunted teen personalities that have been frozen in
I'm like,
teendom.
are you calling me an R word? I think you are.
Yeah, you're saying I need to be in a clinical trial. Or do I need to be in a clinical trial?
So okay, back to clinical
I
trials.
couldn't love it more. I think when I see people who deny the fact that they're still just a little kid on the inside, like that's who I feel bad for.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well,
have
also-
you guys looked outside? Let's make some jokes.
I was like,
Exactly.
yeah, well, like what adult dudes have you seen that have some sort of super mature, like, I don't know any of them.
honestly,
Yeah,
honestly.
but do you know any, who's the most mature adult?
All of the dance dads are mature.
No, that's a lie.
No, they are.
They're pretending to be.
Well, they're pretending very well
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm the coolest dad because I still make fart jokes and stuff. I
Yeah,
am. The girls, they love me, and all the other dads, they all dress nice. They like Maseratis and stuff. I am not that dad.
I know who I'd rather hang out with.
Me, I'm cool.
100%.
Well, I'm not cool, but I am more
'Cause-
fun. I'll give
Yeah, yeah,
myself
yeah.
fun. I am
Yeah.
more fun.
It has nothing to do with money.
I'm the poorest dad. I'm the poorest dance dad.
Like, I guess.
Guaranteed. Some of these guys got amazing vehicles.
Yeah. Like, I guess it maybe is your position in life. Like, if you were a judge or something. Like,
Oh, that's a
I
good
know
one.
lots of immature lawyers.
But all the judges, no, all the judges I knew had a really, really dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I've only known two. You have one in your family, do you not?
Yeah. He's
Is he
pretty
cool?
mature. Yeah. He's cool, but he also used to like hang out with my dad and fish and
Who's
stuff.
more mature of you and I?
Oh, definitely me.
I think I'd probably give him that one. Yeah.
This is so exciting for me too, by the way, because I've only ever seen you guys individually. So this is like mind blowing.
No one ever sees us together. For a while,
same
people
time.
thought we were the same person.
Yeah. I'm gonna shoot my cheek out like Tyler Durden.
And I'm
And then I'm
tired.
like, ah!
Yeah,
I just blew my cheek off.
and they're like, "Where's the soap?" And I'm like, I can't make it. I don't know how to make it."
Back to clinical trials.
Yeah.
It seems like anybody involved in a clinical trial has fallen on hard times, right?
No, Andrea
Huh?
did one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
My wife does a lot of these sometimes.
The
'cause
nerds of the world.
The nerds feel like they are helping, and I believe she did a COVID one.
Yeah.
She's not a true blood American like I am. She's more, she's drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm more of a true American. And she did a COVID trial, and I think they gave her the placebo.
Yeah. It happens 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
man.
I think she was just going there, and they were just stabbing her for money.
Yeah. Well, it's the money part that usually
She was getting paid.
Right.
She was getting paid pretty decent.
Of course.
all-
Absolutely.
like my friends in college and we're always talking about clinical trials and like, oh, you can get paid and
can.
like you just stay up. Some of them you have to be in a hotel for like a week and they'll
Oh, that's
give
the
you,
Ashley Madison clinical trial.
Right, so those
Oh,
are
yeah.
phase 1 trials. Those are the ones where you stay. You don't come
Yes.
and go.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
you
they
get
get
me
paid
and
a
Tom on this? Because we need money for this company.
And
we can do clinical trials.
Those, by the way, everything that was just said is true to some form or another. Like the low economic status is true for the vast majority of clinical research participants, especially phase 1 trials, which is safety and tolerability. Just think about it this way. It's not like it's that risky necessarily. I don't want to make it sound like it's really dangerous. But at the end of the day, you are being asked to put an experimental medication, an untested med, inside your body in exchange for money. Who's saying yes to that? Well, people who need the money, really. You're not getting a whole lot of,
And all you suckers that did it after Operation Fast Track.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Operation-
felt like it
yeah.
felt like screaming that fit my beard.
If Operation Fast Track is your way of referencing how fast we moved through COVID, then that is interesting to talk about, because as someone who works in the industry, it can be extremely slow moving sometimes, and it's frustrating. You're like, we could do this a whole lot faster. So that when COVID actually does happen very rapidly like it did, you're like, see, I freaking told you, if we cut out all
Right.
this BS, like we could actually get through these things quicker.
And listen, I'm fine. If it works on one monkey, I'll take it.
How's he doing? Is it hair fall out? All of it? Or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah, talk to me.
How much?
I'll take anything
Let me see his butt.
experimental.
Let me see his butt. Let me see his genitals.
But-
All right, I'll do it.
But you're right too. A lot of times there are just, like you say, the nerds who just want to feel like they're doing it something important, and they're
I
not.
don't know why my wife did that. We
But-
don't really talk that much, so I have to ask her.
But they're not wrong. It is so important, and I do remind people like that. I'm like, this is extremely legit, and it's very, very helpful and extremely important.
She
to,
got some
like-
Christmas money.
So
There
we
was
do get a lot of people like that.
I think over the course of it, I want to say that she did like 7 weeks of going or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
And at the end of it, I think I told you this. I want to say she got like $1,300.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a tiny amount of money. It was like, oh, we
Yeah.
can buy
Oh,
something
yeah.
significant with $1,300.
Yeah.
And she got nothing. It was literally just a fake needle, or it was a real needle, but like nothing in it, I guess.
So let me ask you about some urban legends about like medications.
Yeah, yeah.
Because so we're all used to, we live in the United States. Pharmaceutical companies can advertise medications on TV. And we all have laughed for years at watching some sort of medication commercial. And then at the end, they list a huge list of possible side effects, right? A lot of the times diarrhea is one of them, which makes me laugh every time.
Sudden diarrhea.
Yeah. And then, so over the time of hearing this, I've heard an urban legend. I want to verify if this is true. People have told me, they're like, oh, yeah, all those lists that they have to do, they have to legally put any side effect that anybody reports at all, even if it's a normal, like, yeah, guess what? A lot of people have diarrhea. I would just randomly
If you're taking Skyrizi, your teeth may have diarrhea.
and then or headaches or like normal everyday problems. But if you had that while you're in the clinical trial, they have to legally list it, even though it's like
Wait,
the
just
major-
one person? Shouldn't it be 5 people got diarrhea?
Well, that's the urban legend I heard. They were like, oh yeah, if one person in the clinical trial had a headache that day.
Gary had diarrhea. Gary
Yeah.
always has diarrhea.
Going back to COVID, it's like if you died in a motorcycle accident and you had COVID, they're going to list COVID as the cause of death.
Correct.
And then everybody's like, oh, yeah, inflated the number. Listen, I also believe anything, any hobo will tell me.
Yeah, what would you say to that?
I would say up until the motorcycle thing, that is true. Yeah, I mean that almost anything that pops up, they're called adverse events in our world, and all adverse events are reportable and need to be documented and then need to be communicated. You think about it this way: it's like they are over communicating the risk as a proactive defense of if something bad happens. So it's in their interest, the main companies, the people who are marketing these drugs and producing these drugs and ultimately putting these drugs into the world, to acknowledge the risks, and it's in their best interest to over-acknowledge the risks. So, yeah, there's a lot of truth in what you just said, that even things that are extremely rare do get reported as side effects. The other thing that's worth pointing out is that I think there is maybe a belief that in clinical drug trials that tens of thousands of people are participating in these trials. It's not usually that high. So it might be 400 people, 500 people, 700
Oh, it's like radio
people.
ratings. You think it's 10,000, but it's
Yeah.
really like 6 people.
Yeah, but one represents
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm
8,000.
on my caffeine today.
Yeah. No, so I'm high a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean it's everything that happens that's unexpected or that's adverse, even very mild things, maybe a mild rash or maybe something that's completely unrelated.
I have a lot
like
of rashes.
I have.
And they have to still report that. So that is technically, I thought it was an urban legend,
Yeah,
but it's
no.
actually true.
Yeah, and so
But it'll make the commercial?
absolutely make the commercial, and it makes you ask yourself, what do I want to do with this information? They're listing all these side effects. Do I need to take it all seriously, or do I think, well, that might have just been one person out of 700. I don't really have to worry about it. You kind of caught
Well,
between two minds a
what
little
makes
bit,
me
but-
as
You
one
had
of
a
your
mountain melt from Ale House. Of course
Exactly.
you had diarrhea.
Exactly.
No,
did
dude,
you
you're
have
not
a
even-
Western bacon burger? I mean, that might explain the GI issues. Like,
it's a Hardee's Monster Thick Burgers. Those are the best ones.
You
That's
know
like
what I'm saying?
early 2000. You know what it makes me think? Look at the bigger picture here. If you and I get in a clinical trial, we have to think of something so unique that if we say it, it'll make the commercial, and then we'll know when we see the commercial, we're like, we did it. So like, seriously, it's like a troll. So when you see like Sky Rizzy has like anal bleeding, they're like one guy. He didn't have that. No, he didn't have that, but he put that in there. So when he heard it, that's me. I'm Gary.
So another thing that I often laugh at the end of like pharmaceutical commercials is that they'll say like, if you are allergic to Skyrizi, do not take Skyrizi.
it's hilarious.
And then you're like, well, how would I know, Rizzy? If I've never taken it, then I don't know if I'm allergic to it. So your warning, don't take it if you're allergic to it, seems foolish.
It's by far my favorite thing.
All right, so
It's the
why do they
most-
do that?
I have no idea. It is so stupid. I think that is, like we just said, it's
It's a
like
legal thing?
yes, it's just
Alright.
the epitome of cover your ass. You know what I mean? Like just prevent things before. I don't know, but that one is so dumb. It makes me laugh every time. It's even more ridiculous. Like if you're allergic to this, then you know you're allergic to it. Do you need to be told don't take something you're allergic to.
I
Well,
would
the
rather
TV
them-
told me to.
It's just unbelievable.
I would rather them say, like, if you're allergic to Sky Rizzy, keep taking it,
Yeah.
but consult your
You
doctor.
never know.
It's like, yeah, all right,
One
but
more
I'll
time.
gamble it a little
Yeah.
bit. Let's talk about, we just touched on it, Tom touched on it, Sky Rizzy. Names. There are a lot of dumb names, and then they go and they spend a lot of money to take said name and then license a very popular song and then fit the name into it. You know, like is that a big? Is any of that play in what you're doing
Not
at all?
thank God.
So that's
although I
a
would
marketing.
love to know.
So marketing
Absolutely.
takes over after you're done.
Yes, we get are the actual names of the pharmaceutical,
There
and
you
it's
go.
it's not always a drug or a chemical. It almost always is, but we get like the real name. We get the chemical name, and it's obnoxious at times because
Huge.
it is like
Yeah.
a ridiculous name sometimes. But that's never how they're released, and I think you're right. I think that they just and these big pharma companies, the big sponsors are worth more money than God, more than you can imagine. So they spend so much money in their market research, and they get some fancy, stupid firm to come up with this is the name I think that would work the best or whatever. So how that all goes down, I have no idea. It's totally separate from what we do.
So why is it like we always hear this football player had to go to Germany for this treatment, or like this has been going on for years, where you
Yeah.
go out of the country because we've always heard that like, oh, there's looser regulations in Europe or whatever, South America.
But not on
Therefore-
food. They don't put certain chemicals in food, so why would their drugs be worse for me?
yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
just using common sense, right?
No,
If they're
for
taking the
sure.
dyes out of the food that we put in that kills us,
Yeah.
but I'm going over there to get medical care, that makes me think their medical care is better.
Well, in the United States, it's harder to get in, harder to get out.
It's like the mafia.
Yeah.
I think the reality is there's not a whole lot of common sense in the answer to this question.
I can't make
Okay,
sense
yeah.
of nonsense.
So do we have just stricter regulations to be able to even get a
Yes.
drug on the market?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's as simple as you can put it, is that we are more highly regulated than anywhere else in the world as far as I know, and it is an extremely highly regulated industry.
And is that regulation due to public safety or due to drug companies wanting less
All the money.
competition?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was
Because
driving.
If I was the czar of podcasting, I would make it real hard to get new podcasts out there.
Yeah.
Because my
Also-
podcast would be more popular with less competition.
Also, if you were the czar of podcasting, I'd appreciate if you wouldn't dress like Hitler. Oh my God.
Well, that's what I thought a czar was.
He dressed like a full czar. I'm like, that's way inappropriate. You cannot wear that czar of podcasting. Just wear a suit. You don't need a black outfit with a tiny hat and kill the mustache, man.
I mean,
Jeez Louise.
Absolutely.
You look like Mussolini.
Well,
in
how
it.
does a czar dress?
I don't know.
It's what's in the
It's
closet.
either that or magician. That's all I have.
I just need to wear white gloves no matter what.
Magician.
So is it because of public safety or because they want
Well,
less competition out there for drugs?
It would be both. Let's take the first one, though. It's obviously in their interest. If you are manufacturing medicine, drugs that go into a human body, it is very much in your best interest, whether it's altruistic or not, for that to be a good, effective, safe med. If it's not, how are you ever going to sell it? How are you ever going to be profitable if the thing you make doesn't work? So public safety is definitely the overarching factor here. But the other thing definitely exists, too. It is worth noting that not all sponsor companies, not all pharmaceutical developers are the big boys. Like Eli Lilly, Moderna, Pfizer, they're enormous. They have more money than you can imagine. They have a lot of clout, a lot of power. They lobby their asses off to control the industry the way they want to.
Eli Lilly sounds like he would have known Orville Redenbacher, right? And they would have had like competing general stores. That's what it does sound like. to
I'm
me.
Eli Lilly.
Perfect. See? That's
I
perfect. You
mean-
could go for that. Who are you for Halloween? I'm Eli Lilly.
You know Bayer. Bayer makes aspirin. Bayer is a German company. Bayer was very involved on the
Bayer.
bad side of World War II. You can look this up. It's
Yeah.
not hard to find. It is what it is.
They
Their
were.
name never changed.
Ein aspirin for your headache and come out of Kopfschmerzen.
It is what it
Out of
is.
Kopfschmerzen.
Exactly. Couldn't have said
That
it
means
better
I have a
myself.
headache in German. It really does.
yeah. I'm
Racist
feeling better.
and autistic. I knew it.
But yeah, it would be silly to deny that those enormous companies do throw their weight around to bend the industry to what they want to accomplish and how it comes out. But like I said, not every sponsor is like that. Not every sponsor does have that clout. So, which is, I think, to bring it a little bit back to the coolness of the kind of studies I work on in the psych space, we see a lot more of the smaller ones because we are starting to the industry as a whole is starting to dip its toe into alternative therapies. So I get to
Is
work
cannabis considered an alternative therapy?
very much so.
Where does that rate, or is it frowned upon where you're at, or is it like, look, we're just going to test all of it, we still have our job to do?
Whatever the opposite of frowned upon is.
Gotcha.
Like this industry, we are people that work in this industry I think care a lot, especially in the psych space, care a lot about solving these things and working towards better outcomes. And the pill era, the pharmacological intervention era that we are all a product of,
Right.
is not perfect. It's far from it. And there is a lot that could be better, that could be improved. Now, the pharma companies obviously want to do that too.
Sure.
But alternative therapies are clawing more and more of that space back in at the site level and at any level, really. We're all for it. And cannabis, yes, absolutely, is one of the coolest studies I've ever worked on, was a social anxiety study. And we call it the IP, the investigational product, or the drug in that case, was a mega dose of CBD. Now, when you get CBD out in the stores around here at like a farmer's market or whatever, you might get 40 milligrams, 50 milligrams. This was 2 500 milligram sublingual doses.
Good
so
God.
right into the mouth twice a day. So it's 1,000 milligrams. So it's a gram of
Yeah.
CBD every day for social anxiety. And I'm always blinded. I don't know if someone's on placebo or not, obviously, to do my job well. But sometimes you can really tell. And
Right.
this was a study where you could really tell who was on placebo and who wasn't. So, yeah, we're
Give someone 1,000 milligrams.
Exactly.
You're like,
Yeah.
that guy's chill. He's gonna eat on it. That guy took the water. I know. I can do this all day.
Exactly. It's so funny, too, because they're always trying to guess. So, like, I hear this all the time. I'm pretty sure I'm on placebo. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? We still got to do your
Have
thing.
you?
Also, anytime they list any sort of like legit medical benefits that cannabis offers, I always say, yeah, right. I don't believe it.
Well, we do too. Because a lot of the things that they say cannabis is treating things. Let's just stick to one of them, like anxiety. Sure, I think for some people, when you're stoned, maybe your anxiety takes on a different form. However, cannabis
it accelerates.
Mine takes on the form of Gilbert Godfrey trapped
Exactly.
in a bank vault,
So when
screaming for help.
yeah, so when someone says, "Oh, it's for my anxiety," I'm like, you don't say anything, but I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Mine-
I stopped saying that, just so you know.
know what
I
I
don't say
mean?
that anymore. People are
I
like,
mean,
why do you have medical marijuana?
yeah.
I was like, because it's the only way to get high legally.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like a guy trapped in a tugboat in water.
Yeah, how's that anxiety treating you?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't help anything.
Have you ever been doing a trial where you're testing a drug and you have this specific compound name, the real chemical name, and you realize in doing it that, this is not working at all? Have there ever been any that like do an about face pretty quickly because maybe it just wasn't?
Yes.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, like,
Yes.
because that's probably what makes your job interesting is that
Yes.
it's all over the place different, because I can't even put a number on how many different chemicals might be used, because sometimes you find these things by accident,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Very much so. Yeah. So many great breakthrough discoveries were completely unintentional. or
Just like they're
accidental.
using it for something else, and you look, because I'm on something now that was like never, like I'm on something just to calm my stomach, but it's a pill that it's a benign. She described it as a benign medication, meaning it doesn't do anything to my bloodstream, but it will coat my stomach somehow, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
never intended to
Yeah.
use that.
Right.
But they found out that it works great for this, and they're like, here, we're going to put you on. It's no big deal. And I'm
Definitely.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
So we refer to that as off-label use, and so what that means is that you're using it for some indication that's not on the label, which you shouldn't be doing in like life. However, in trials, the manufacturer or the maker of this med would want to add that to the label. So if you're going to add a new thing to your label, you got to go through it all again and see if it does what you're supposed to do. But that happens a lot, where you discover this thing that's made. I'm just making stuff up right now, so don't quote me. But
Right,
hey,
right.
this med that's for blood pressure medication. Actually, we can use a real one. Viagra was a blood pressure medication. Viagra was
yeah.
an accidental discovery. I have this raging boner. Well, that's an adverse event. That's a side effect. Well, maybe it's not a side effect.
Now,
Maybe we
did
want to
they-
make that.
I'll
the
pay
effect.
for that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
wonder, though, if they did say that, if they're like earlier on, if there had been a commercial, or if you were reading, it would be like,
Yeah, I wonder.
if you're taking, and maybe it had a different name, like if you're taking XJ5 180, you may get a priapism, or you may get an erection that you did not expect, and
Yeah, yeah.
an
Oh, yeah.
unpredictable erection.
Well, back to the is it for the good of the world or is it to make a profit question? It's definitely both. But it would take a fool to not see the writing on the wall in that scenario. If you have a bunch of contrived erections in the male population of your experimental med or whatever, I think that's a good place to
Oh,
pivot.
that guy was probably, he drew a dollar sign on his yellow legal.
Exactly.
He's like, wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm rich.
Yeah.
But-
like, imagine how much that must have felt. Because, like, you're trying to have these blood pressure, these big fat blood pressure turns. And you're like, well, I can't do nothing for
they're
them
all
because they're
dyed
going
off.
to eat, they're going to drink, they're smoking their cigarettes, and they're addicted. But you know what else they're addicted to? Boners.
I'll
And
sell that.
I'm rich.
Can't get enough of them.
Oh, man.
I like it when a medication meant to treat, let's say, restless legs causes gambling addiction, which I'm like, what the hell?
the really weird ones, yeah.
Where it's like,
It attacks some part of your brain.
and then you find out, you're like, oh, this must be one of those things where one person reported it, and you're like, no, this is actually
It's the gambling drug.
like lots of people have experienced like impulse control while taking this drug, and I'm like, that is bizarre to me, because like all of a sudden you're like, all right, well now it's essentially messing with your personality. Or like,
Well, I would say it's just opening and closing gates that shouldn't be opening and closing. And
Yeah.
if your personality lends yourself to that, you're going to go running for the casino, baby.
You're like
Yeah,
something.
or cheating on your wife or drugs or whatever it is. And it does open and close those gates too easy.
And that's harder to understand individually, other than like a rash or diarrhea. You're like, I know what that is, but like, why am I like all of a sudden to feel like I need to gamble?
yeah.
That's
Or
bizarre.
I want to abandon my family.
The brain is a very mysterious thing, and we don't know anything about it. I mean, we know a whole lot, but really we don't know anything about it. And so things like that, like I think those are both good analogies. Like you just never know what the effects are going to be, or what part of your personality that doesn't exist yet or that's dormant might come alive, or anything like that.
So what is the process after, okay, it goes through a clinical trial, and then, like, no one died, there wasn't that much adverse effects for it to get denied, and I guess let's go there. Like, what things could happen to get the drug denied from going to public? Like, how is it like a checklist of how many serious side effects, or what is it would cause a drug to be denied to be released to the public?
I can't prove this, but I would strongly suspect that the side effects are push-throughable, that you would push through that kind of stuff to get your drug to market if it works. So the answer is it just not working. Like one of you said a moment ago, do you ever get to this point where it's like obvious this thing ain't going? It's not going to go. It's just not working. And yes, I've worked on a couple trials in the last couple years or so where it's even blinded like I am, it becomes abundantly clear this thing is not doing what it's meant to do. I worked on one study that was an ADHD med again, and their ADHD meds have been pretty well figured out. I think the game now with ADHD meds is how can we get them to work for a longer period of time with less side effects including things like I just don't feel like myself, or I feel like a zombie, those kinds of things. And so there are new ADHD meds, attempts at new ADHD meds, and we worked on one of them, and it didn't do anything. And the writing on
Can you get me and Tom some of
and
that?
the writing is
I'll
on the
tell you.
wall
I'll be the
at some point,
judge of
and
this.
that is really what will bring a drug down. Is it just doesn't work.
Like internally at your job, like how much like lock and key are some of these drugs in, as far as like,
I bet it's tight.
making sure, because you're handing them out to a bunch of people. Do you have to do the old like insane asylum? Make sure that they open.
Let me
their
see your mouth.
After
You got to
they
use
go-
you got to use the flashlight on your cell phone.
Yeah. So they're not smuggling, like,
Yes.
how much
All of it.
security is all involved?
A lot, as much as you would imagine, and probably more. Now, it depends on the drug, really. Like in phase 1 trials, I used to work on phase 1 trials, and that really is dude, you would love it. It's the craziest thing ever. It's like, it would be an insane reality show to like make a reality show out of phase 1 trials, because you stay there. It's like a Twilight Zone motel.
Oh, hosted by Phase on Love.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I
Phase
mean,
one
not-
by Phase-On.
Yeah, Phase-On's Phase 1 on VH1. Oh, I'm
You
telling
see,
you,
now
I
we're
would-
cooking, because
I
I would
would
watch
literally
that.
crush, dude.
I would watch
Phase
that.
on, Phase
on.
one on
Phase 1. It's
Phase
Phase 1 with Phase on Love
We're
on
ki-
VH1.
Hosted by Phase 1. Yeah, so that happens a lot in the phase 1 scenario where you are checking tongues and stuff like that, like make sure you took the med or whatever. In phase 3, people are not staying in a clinic, so they come and go, and they go home, and so you send them with med. Now, there's still accountability, a lot of accountability, and you do med checks every time they come back, and if there's any like reasonable suspicion that there's misuse or abuse, including giving things out, then, they're out of study, and you follow the rules after that, but it ends for them. But as far as lock and key goes, it depends on the drug, and at my site, since we do alternative therapies like cannabis products and psychedelics, like psilocybin and MDMA type drugs, those things are extremely highly regulated. And before we even, not every site can do that. We have demonstrated success and high quality running of trials at our site, so we are considered a good site for psych trials. But initially, before we'd ever done one, like the accountability checks and feasibility and accountability checks are very stringent. So the DEA comes in there and has like a 700-point inspection that they want to see certain things, and they install cameras, and it's very, very tight.
I'm curious that Tyler, if you believe some of the conspiracy theories that are out, and it's almost they're easy to believe because it's basic capitalism, and so like the conspiracy theory is kind of like the guy that invented a car that worked off water that mysteriously disappeared, and everybody's like, oh, it was definitely big oil that killed this guy because he had this invention that would have destroyed an industry, right?
Yeah.
So then that type of conspiracy theory lends itself to the pharmaceutical companies, where people have suspected that there are cures to certain diseases out there.
Yeah.
And those pharmaceutical companies
withholding them.
withholding them or bought them and not release them, or don't
Slowing
want
them, altering
yeah,
them.
like
yeah.
you know you don't want a whole nation being cured of their diabetes or their cancer or these chronic illnesses that these pharmaceutical companies make a ton of money selling medications.
Because where will your TV shows go? Once all those people are dead,
Well,
or gone,
yeah.
or cured.
Yeah, you don't want them cured. You want to keep a nation of sick people.
Right.
Now that seems sick.
Write that down. Sick Nation with Tom Fair.
Hey, it's it's like maybe like a ridiculous conspiracy theory, but I could see how people believe it, because you're like, well, basic capitalism says that if I was the owner of a cancer treatment,
It's like an
drug
airless
company,
tire, Tom, right? It's
Yeah,
like, where's
yeah.
the airless tire that we
So,
all know you created?
I'm curious to what your thoughts working within the industry are.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's very believable. Where I stop short is I ask myself, what is more valuable to, let's just call them the big, powerful elite? Is it more valuable to have a population that is sick, or is it more valuable to have a healthy population? And I just can't convince myself that a sick population is more valuable than a healthy population.
Easier to beat up, though, and control.
Maybe lots of things, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But when we're talking about stifling good meds or good treatment options, to me, that seems like a denial of future riches. If you have something that works, if you've developed something that works and can fix lots of people, you want to sell that. You want to find the value in that. And so the conspiracy that things like that are around and known and pushed down is a bridge too far for me. However, I do think that the real truth is that maybe those things never really get off the ground, because it would take a whole lot of investment and money and energy and resources to possibly discover that they don't work anyway. So why would we do that if we're the big boys? Why would we do that when we just have a thing we know already works well enough? It's not perfect. It's just not worth our time to investigate new stuff. So screw it. Maybe, yeah, the cure for something is out there, but we're not going to find it because we have a thing we like already. Which kind of brings us back around to a question you asked earlier about, is it for the good of the population or for something else? The smaller sponsors, the smaller companies, pharma companies, the ones that look at alternative therapies like psychedelics, they really are the good of the people type joints. They really are interested in, can we find a new way of treating these problems in a way that is safe and effective and different from what's been gone on so far. So things like PTSD and drug-resistant depression and bipolar 1, things that are really, really hard to treat, those companies are in that space too. And if anyone's discovered a cure for these things and is keeping it held down, that would take a collection of miracles to pull off, I would imagine.
Where my BP1s at? What?
Yo, they're out there, baby.
Yeah.
You drive by them. So I do think that conspiracy theory is believable. Like most good ones, it's like, yeah, I can see that going down. I don't buy that necessarily because I just can't I can't see how keeping the population sick is worth the effort and valuable enough to do it versus discovering and profiting off of new therapies, new things that work.
Appetite suppressants and peptides, a new thing,
Absolutely.
craze, like that's what
Yeah,
everybody's
they're coming into our world too.
Yeah.
We have, I can't get into super specifics here, but GLP-1 inhibitors, which are Ozempic and Wegovy, are now being thrown at things like alcohol use disorder and things
really?
like.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
Yep.
I've heard of
Yeah.
alcoholics taking Ozempic
Yep.
because it helps that as well.
Yep. It turns down.
Stops them from drinking hot dogs.
Turns down. Yeah. Turns down the
I'm
noise.
so stupid.
How about schizophrenia, though? Would you
How
think?
about it?
Yeah. Would you think
Best
that?
sex I've ever
would
had.
you-
My God, don't get rid of it. You can't get rid of the schizzos.
You just turn it down.
Can you say that? I don't think you can say that anymore.
You're
You
be
get
able to
canceled,
switch
like
in,
schizo.
turn it on,
You're
turn it off.
canceled now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So last question, Tyler,
Yeah.
because we got to go.
Oh, yeah, right on.
In your industry, what do we talk? Because we ask all the weird job, guests what they make, and I'll ask you specifically what you make. But in your industry, what's the going
What can
salary?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
It ranges enormously, and I think it's a phenomenal industry for a young person to get into with maybe just a college degree or maybe just an AA degree or maybe not even that. If you did it that way, you would start at the very bottom, which means you'd be a research assistant, and I don't know what they make, but it's definitely more than a teacher or something like that. So
Ew.
50s, 60s, something like that. And then
Okay.
it just balloons up after that. And the industry is a good one because it really, in this way anyway, in that it really values experience. So the more time you've put in, you could have someone with advanced degrees. I have advanced degrees. You could put someone with no advanced degrees, and they could really rise to the same exact level. Me
Wow.
with degrees, I got to kind of, skip that and enter higher than I would have otherwise. But it really is a ladder climbing thing.
That's
and
awesome.
so the more experience you have in something like this, especially if you work on difficult stuff like psych trials or like cancer, like oncology, things like that are difficult,
Big, yeah.
and you stay in there for a while, you can make a lot of money. I mean, it would be easy to be six figures, low six figures, $100,000 a year for people in the industry, and then a lot of them, big trial managers, make double that.
Wow.
And
Decent amount.
we'll end with this: pharmacists, just pill counters, right? Can anybody do that? You're counting 30 pills?
I don't-
Put 'em in a bottle.
We'll end with this. Pharmacist. Can anyone do it? We'll see you tomorrow.
You go to Google, you look up
Yeah,
your interactions. and
hey,
you're like, "Ah,
hey, the medicine I just gave you, you can't eat tomatoes.
fine."
It'll interact.
I'm not afraid to say on the radio that, yeah, I think that's true.
Take that.
Pharmacist versus Raider.
No, listen, it's a sweet gig. I'd love to be one. Hang out at Walgreens all day.
Yeah, I love Walgreens, especially the toy aisle.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Great job, buddy.
Sorry, I just realized that we went.
Oh,
we were
my
supposed
bad,
to go.
yeah.
Well, no, we were having an
Okay,
amazing
yeah.
time with you, and
I knew that would happen.
and the chat room loved you too. And then we're like, oh, too long.
I knew that would happen, though, because if you start asking about
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that, it does get, like...
That's
'cause-
you have a great job.
yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Very interesting.
It's
That was
definitely
a good one, man.
We've never
Really
had
good one.
anybody even near the pharmaceutical.
That was really good, dude.
Oh, yeah,
really,
thanks. That
really,
was
really,
super
really
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
it,
it's
T?
also...
That's it for
Guys, I'm gonna just turn this off so we can relax.